Imagine driving a vintage car into a demolition derby against a reinforced modern tank. Your engine still roars with the memory of past horsepower. Deep down, you know the rusted chassis will shatter on the very first impact. That is the precise scenario we witnessed on July 25, 2026, when 39-year-old Santiago Argentine dagger Ponzinibbio stepped into the cage against Sam Patterson at UFC Abu Dhabi.
Isolating the tale of the tape explains the grim reality before the referee even issues a single instruction. Sam Patterson is 30 years old, stands 6'3", and boasts a massive 78-inch reach. Ponzinibbio is nearing 40, stands 6 foot flat, and brings a severe physical disadvantage with a 73-inch reach.
Giving up 5 inches of reach completely dictates the geometry of a fistfight.
Forcing the shorter fighter to swing at empty air or walk directly into danger just to make contact.
Navigating that void requires exceptional speed and durability, like physical traits that evaporate rapidly as a fighter hits their late 30s. Seeing a fighter walk to the octagon as a -500 underdog on DraftKings tells you the betting public expects the opponent to fold like a cheap lawn chair in a hurricane.
Stretching to -410 on some splits translates to an 83% implied win probability for the favorite.
Seeing numbers that lopsided in a sport with 4-ounce gloves guarantees the betting public anticipates a total massacre.
Analyzing the divergent career trajectories drives those massive expectations for early violence. Patterson secured 4 first-round stoppages in a row before a decision loss to Michael Page. Ponzinibbio fought only once in 2024 and suffered a devastating knockout loss to Daniel Rodriguez in May 2025.
Getting put to sleep by Daniel Rodriguez provides terrifying empirical evidence for that lost durability. Rodriguez is a volume striker. He had not won a fight by knockout since finishing Preston Parsons in July of 2021.
Recommending Patterson to win by knockout or submission in rounds 1 or 2 at -140 relies on the Clinical Action Network assessment that Ponzinibbio's durability is entirely gone. A fighter's chin operates on a finite ledger.
Every massive shot withdraws funds from the account until you're running on empty. And Ponzinibbio took over 100 significant strikes in multiple recent survival efforts. Taking that much damage physically alters the neurological shock absorbers. Your brain just sloshes against the skull with far less resistance.
Correcting historical defensive flaws makes Patterson's offense significantly more dangerous. Moving up to the 170-pound limit allowed him to fill out his towering frame, translating natural length into devastating stopping power. He averages 2.62 significant strikes landed per minute.
Punishing opponents who attempt to cross that 5-inch reach disparity requires that exact power. When a tall fighter like Patterson just leans back to avoid a punch, his chin lifts in the air, exposing the knockout button.
Improving head movement to slip side to side ensures he stays in the pocket with his chin tucked tight. Slipping strikes while remaining in the pocket turns an opponent's missed punch into a loaded spring for a counterattack. Stopping Trey Waters and Danny Barlow inside the first round showcased this biomechanical adjustment in action.
Ponzinibbio traditionally relied on a high-risk counter-striking game, absorbing a strike to land a heavier one. You cannot deploy a damage exchange strategy against a younger, faster sniper when your neurological shock absorbers are already destroyed. Entering the octagon with those glaring physical disadvantages forces an aging fighter to rely entirely on psychological warfare to justify showing up. The physical breakdown forces the mind to manufacture total delusion.
Dismissing Patterson's entire resume served as a thick layer of that psychological armor. Ponzinibbio viewed wins over Trey Waters, Danny Barlow, Kiefer Crosby, and Johan Linnes as vastly inferior to his own past opponents. He leaned on his history against fighters like Sean Strickland and Miguel Baeza.
He pulled his motivation directly from the Argentina national soccer team's recent loss to Spain in the FIFA World Cup final in New Jersey. He admired their commitment and grit, vowing to bring that identical energy to the cage. Wait, is drawing pre-fight inspiration from a team that lost a championship a subconscious admission of impending defeat?
Sports psychologists categorize this behavior as cognitive reframing. Athletes isolate the internal effort from the external result to maintain their motivation. Ponzinibbio watched Lionel Messi and the Argentine squad stage dramatic late-game rallies against England and Egypt. He publicly stated that an athlete's only job is leaving everything in competition.
Reframing a loss as a victory of spirit sounds great in a locker room, but it doesn't block a head kick. It feels exactly like hyping yourself up for a job interview by watching the Titanic sink. He attempted to recreate that specific feeling of national pride from 2022, entirely ignoring the degradation of his own physical tools over the ensuing 4 years.
Matchmakers rely on these specific dynamics to build the business. Patterson took this fight on 4 weeks' notice, stepping in as a replacement for Jack Hermanson. They plug a young prospect into a short notice slot against a fading veteran with a recognizable name. The prospect gets a high-profile opportunity.
The veteran gets a paycheck. Ponzinibbio claimed he did not care about the promotion's intentions, insisting he would not change his essence or style, promising to march forward and apply heavy pressure. Applying forward pressure against a fighter with a 5-inch reach advantage requires impenetrable defense and high-level footwork. Fighting someone with Patterson's 93% finish rate feels like standing on train tracks waiting for the 8.15 express. Survival is mathematically highly improbable.
Marrying crisp boxing with a highly dangerous submission game makes that mathematical inevitability a reality. Round 1 initiated with Patterson dictating the range using his long jab. Biomechanically, a long jab acts as a physical barrier. It blinds the opponent and disrupts their forward momentum.
Establishing that barrier forces the shorter fighter to take extreme risks to enter the striking zone. Ponzinibbio stalked forward through that barrier and actually managed to land a massive right hand that legitimately hurt Patterson,
Snapping Patterson's head back and forcing him to retreat. Surviving that strike showcased Patterson's improved durability at welterweight. He absorbed the impact and immediately retreated slightly to clear his head. Reestablishing his range took only seconds.
That early right hand in round 1 was just the ghost of his past glory, like a brief flash of danger that ultimately just woke up the younger fighter and sealed his own fate.
Tapping Ponzinibbio with a straight right gauged the distance. Reading the Argentine's attempt to rush inside, Patterson dropped him momentarily with a short right counter.
The speed differential became painfully obvious the moment that counter landed. Round 2 opened, with Ponzinibbio desperately pressuring with wide hooks.
Throwing looping punches against a taller fighter is a fatal tactical error. A straight punch travels the shortest possible distance between 2 points. Skating out of range allowed Patterson to avoid those wide hooks completely. He controlled the pace with a crisp 1-2 combination.
Recognizing Ponzinibbio's forward momentum, Patterson planted his feet and dropped him heavily with a massive left hook. Dropping a veteran heavily usually triggers a mad scramble.
Standing his ground, Patterson let him back up to his feet. He recognized the damage was done. He tracked the compromised veteran down against the fence, removing any avenue of escape.
He finished the fight with a final 1-2 combination over the top. The referee intervened, stopping the fight at 3.06 of round 2 via technical knockout. Moving from the stoppage to the immediate aftermath leaves you with a dark realization about the mechanics of this sport. Patterson cemented his place in the welterweight division.
Snagging his 5th finish in a 5-2 UFC run secured his upward trajectory. Grabbing the microphone during his post-fight interview, Patterson immediately called out the winner of the upcoming UFC Belgrade event.
Staring at a brutal reality, Ponzinibbio holds only one victory in the past 3 years. The promotion intentionally feeds fading legends to young prospects, operating a recycling program built on blood and bone, designed solely to build the highlight reels of tomorrow. Stay sharp.